Sergeant at Arms, Andriy Smolenko.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please know that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or a former active member of Toastmasters International. And you have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or pathways programs, or you must have substantial relevance presentation experience that you demonstrate in a 3 to 5 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click to do so and select Rename. We have members and often guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording this meeting. Your video audio contributions may be used for our club marketing purposes. Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Also, please avoid using chat box during the speaker's presentations. And the theme of today evening meeting is your voice. Please welcome our club president, DTM Nick Lahani.
Thank you very much, Andriy. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to actually be at this meeting, to actually be at the starting of this meeting. I feel a good vibe here today. We've got a good mix of members. We have a few guests as well. We're going to have some fun today. And we have a Toastmaster who is actually going to take control and lead us through this session and then hand over to the general evaluator who she was sourcing. Now, today is a very special day. Why? Because it's Monday. Apparently, lots of people, it's not such a great day. Well, one of the sayings that we have in one of my clubs, and I'm going to take this for online presenters, if you've had a bad day, you need online presenters. If you've had a good day, online presenters need you. With that, I'd like to welcome our Toastmaster of the day. Please give a really warm hand for Elizan Warren Russell.
Hello, everyone. Today is a special day here in the United States of America. It is Martin Luther King's Day. Martin Luther King was a civil rights leader who fought for the rights of everyone. And he is a great example of letting your voice speak. We recommend that each and every Toastmaster who's participating today let their voices speak. I'd like to introduce to you our VP of Membership, Mr. Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Hello, everyone, and happy MLK Day. This is a special segment that we do occasionally as Vice President Membership. It is my duty for membership outreach as well as to welcome brand new members into our club. I'm happy to share that we have 2 folks who have joined us since the beginning of the year, and I will be conducting the induction ceremony. Unfortunately, one of our new members couldn't be with us this evening. However, I'd like to go ahead with the induction for him. I'll probably reach out to him a little separately later, only because he was unable to make it last time as well. So I'd really like to move forward with that. So with that said, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, on behalf of online presenters, it is my duty and privilege to induct the following new members into our club. Please bear with me one moment as Nick provides me with the ability to share my screen. Or any other club officer who has the ability to provide me.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay, again, fellow Toastmasters, on behalf of the club, my duty and privilege to induct the following new members: Mr. Calvin Dorsey and Miss Surya Vengala. This is an important occasion, both for these individuals and for our club. As experienced speakers and Toastmasters, these individuals will enrich us as we strive to enrich them in the spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Together, we expand our effectiveness as dynamic leaders, presenters, and communicators. Surya, please wait until I call on you to affirm your commitment to the Toastmasters promise. In the presence of online presenters, do you pledge to attend meetings regularly and prepare for each assignment, to actively participate in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with our fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they too can gain from the benefits of Toastmasters? Surya, please unmute and say "I do."
I do.
Thank you. To the current members of Online Presenters, I do remind you of your pledge to support these new members in their quest for self-development, to provide them with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, and to make their Online Presenters Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Congratulations, Surya. Congratulations to Calvin Dorsey. Welcome to Online Presenters. Folks, feel free to unmute and give a warm round of applause to our new members.
Hey, welcome.
Well done.
Welcome, Surya and Calvin.
Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. With that being said, today we have some esteemed Toastmasters who will be sharing their voices with us. But first, I'd like to introduce our supporting voices as they introduce their roles to us. Today, we have as our timer, Mr. David Carr.
Hi, I will be your timer today. As already mentioned once, it's a good idea to go into the gallery mode and you can drag and drop the little squares around. So if you park me in the upper left-hand corner, then you shouldn't lose sight of me when you're giving that table topic. And you might be actually running a little bit long, which is important today because I've been told that I am authorized to actually cut you off if you go long. So just so you know the timing to watch for, that is, I'm ready. It's yellow. Slow down. Ah, stop, stop. You're running the red light. Well, actually you have 30 seconds, but it's time to start wrapping up when you see that red, or you might find yourself talking to no one because your mic's been cut. Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, David. Our next supporter is Jeanette Francois. She is our R counter for today. Jeanette.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My role today or tonight is to note any overused words or filler sounds such as and, but, so, or you know, and that you use as a crutch by anyone who uses those words. And I will give you my report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. Our next assistant will be our grammarian, Miss Emily Thompson. Emily.
Thank you, Elizan. As grammarian, I have a listening role, and my role is to listen for the usage of the English language, both the good and the bad. Additionally, I have a word of the day that Elizan has given to me. That word is resilience, and I'm going to be listening to how many times you are able to use that in your speeches tonight. The definition of resilience, a noun, is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. An example sentence would be, the world has shown resilience by standing together, continuing to wear masks against the COVID-19 virus. And I'll put that in the chat. Back to you, Elizan.
Thank you so much, Emily. Our next supporter is our watcher, Ms. Vivian Wajaja. Viviana.
Yes, thank you. So I will watch silently about your background, and also if you have a slides presentation, I will give your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Viviana. Our next supporter is the chat monitor, Mr. Jim Barber. Jim.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guest this evening. The chat monitor is a role that is somewhat unique to online Toastmasters. As the chat monitor, I will, get ready for this, monitor the chat. I have two goals in mind. One is to, throughout the meeting, I will inform our Toastmaster if anything of importance shows up in the chat that she needs to know about, so she has one less thing to watch. Also, at the end of the meeting, I will inform everybody of anything of significance that was in the chat that they might want to go back and look at, they may have missed. And that is what I'm going to be doing. And I am, I should say, a most resilient person. Ta-da. Now, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jim. Our next supporter will be our vote counter, Ms. Tricia Smith. Tricia.
Hello, everybody. I am the vote counter. So what does that mean? That means you have a chance to vote on the best speaker, 1 of 3, the best evaluator, 1 of 3, and the best table topics presenters. And I will give the results at the end of the meeting.
Thank you so much, Tricia. Without further ado, we will have some voices from our speaker as they share their speeches with us. Our first speaker for tonight is Mr. Andriy Spelenko. Andriy is giving a speech from his Innovative Planning Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals. And he's doing the second part of his evaluation speech. Here we can achieve more in life by using the right kind of praise. His topic is praise effects. Andriy.
Madam Toastmaster of the evening, fellow members and most welcome guests. You see, just a couple of weeks ago in our club, I delivered a speech number 1 from my pathway programs. And the key message of my speech was, if you want to achieve the best things in life, there is nothing that can replace practice. Well, yes, you need to have the right attitude, of course, and you could have the best mentors in the world. At the same time, you need to practice, practice, and practice. Well, clearly, I didn't practice enough because my first speech was a failure. Look, my mind just went blank and I had to read my speech from the script. My slides didn't work. My evaluator said I had to concentrate on hand gestures, make them more effective, engage the audience with eye contact. The purpose of my today's speech is to incorporate all the valuable feedback I receive and deliver it more effectively with slightly different message. Well, yes, you need to practice if you want to get bad things in life. However, if you don't get the right kind of praise, even if you practice all your life, all that effort may be complete waste of your time and money. To demonstrate my point, I'm going to tell you a story about my 8-year-old son, a trampoline and a football coach. Also, I'm going to share with you a lesson that I personally learned on the importance of the right kind of praise. In conclusion, I'm going to share a valuable tip that will help you to achieve your life goals much easier and faster. Just not long time ago, my fellow Toastmaster, I was a firm believer that the best praise available in the world to human being and parents was the money. Yes, the money. Over there, up on the ceiling, you can see a £10 note. It's the UK money, equivalent to about 13 American dollars. And over here, I have a trampoline, just normal indoors jumping trampoline. Imagine on my place, my 8-year-old son came much shorter and slimmer, jumping frantically and trying to get that money. It just wasn't working. My son, just practicing for weeks, couldn't get the money. Well, clearly, my theory wasn't working because I thought if I put the tenner up on the ceiling, I could make him practice more, exercise, and he could get his rewards. It didn't work. Until one day, my son's friends, another 8-year-old boy, just came for a play, the same height as my son, the same slim build as my son, and the same motivation to get that £10 note off the ceiling. And he jumped. Yes! Yes! He got the £10 note. Oh dear, my son was close to tears. Well, the thing is, a few weeks before that, I had a £5 note stuck on the ceiling, trying to make my son exercise and work on it. He worked for weeks, jumping, no results, until one day, my girlfriend's 8-year-old daughter, a petite-looking girl, beautiful butterfly, came for a play. She jumped and got the money. Well, my son was really, really bad. Well, let's come back to the evening when my son's friend Zizi, his name, got the tenner in his hands. Zizi have a dad. His dad is football coach, and his dad came to pick him up that night. And I praised his son. I praised him for his ability to jump and get the money. And then his dad asked me a question that I will never forget. And what did Martin get? I said, nothing. Why should he get anything? You need to reward your son for the effort. Rewarding someone for the effort. Why would I want to reward someone for the effort if they did not achieve a goal? It was not my parenting style at all. My son had to earn that money. He had to do it simply for the effort. Hey, little did I know that according to the quite powerful and well-established research by the American psychologist Carol Dwork on her work on the fixed and growth mindset, she suggested that it's very, very important to praise people for the effort instead of their ability. In that case, people can grow faster and achieve their goals. Well, I decided to praise my son for the efforts. That night, when I was putting him to bed, I said, son, I'm really, really proud of you for the effort you made. Thank you for doing that. And I gave him £5. Also, I stuck another £10 note up on the ceiling and forget about the case. A couple of days later, I could hear my son screaming, Daddy, Daddy, I got it! And my boy ran into the room with 10-pound notes in his hands and a biggest smile on his face. That, my fellow Toastmasters, was one of the happiest days of my life. You see, if you want to succeed in life, you don't have to buy yourself a trampoline or bribe your children with money or befriend the football coach. What you need, two things: practice and the right kind of praise. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Andriy. Andriy shared with us the importance of using the right kind of praise in rewarding for the effort. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Lieceng. She will be presenting from the Presentation Mastery Level 2, Learning Your Style, Understanding Your Communication Style. She indicated that you have to confront the elephant. There is no other way. Her title is Elephant in the Classroom, Lieceng.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. We often say elephant in the living room, and we all see that the issues in front of us, but no one wants to talk about it. But the elephant is there. Without confronting the issues, we often feel stuck, and we cannot move forward and enjoy the life we so deserve. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Nowadays in higher education, the challenge for professor is not to teach the students the subject matter, but to motivate, engage, and even sometimes trick them into study. As the saying goes, if you can make them laugh, you can make them listen. I tried my best to make my students laugh so that they can listen to me in the classroom, and I succeeded. Though English is not my first language. For a period of time, both my student and I enjoy the classroom experience tremendously. One day, there was an extremely bright student. He came to me and telling me that he just took the GRE test. The score was pretty high. I was so happy for him, and I congratulated him wholeheartedly and made a few comments about it. The next day, I was called to the chair's office because someone complained to him that I made racist comment. What comments? I was confused and I was angry. The chair said, I'm not supposed to review the detail. All I can tell is about GRE test score. GRE test score, really? Which part of the comment is considered racist and why? Facing to my students the next few days, I feel extremely nervous, as if I walk on a thin layer of ice. I didn't know if I should talk with my student about this complaint. It's not about any complaint. It's about complaint that accuse me of being a racist. And I dare not to joke with my student and be relaxed toward them, because who knows when and how and by what I could offend someone accidentally again. You see, I got an elephant in my classroom, and I could see it and I feel its weight on me, but I didn't know how to deal with it. And I felt stuck. As a result, my classroom atmosphere became a bit tense, and I could see that my students also suffered. Finally, I decided to confront these issues. I should have the resilience in me to have a difficult but honest conversation with my students. In one of those days in the classroom, I revealed to my student about the complaint, and I told them Dr. Zhu is not racist, and I would never say anything intentionally to hurt their feeling. But if that happened, that maybe because of my culture background and my language barrier. And if that happens again, I want them and I need them come to me immediately before they go to the chair to file a complaint, which they have the every right to do so, but please give me a chance to explain or to apologize. After finish, a few of my students applauded, telling me that they had never have a professor communicated with them on such a difficult issues with such level of honesty. That almost brought tears into my eyes. That moment, I could see the elephant, once intimidating and humongous, occupying my classroom, burst into pieces and disappear, just like a Bogart in a Harry Potter movie. And I backed myself, my old self, warm, friendly, spontaneous. And once in a while, I will throw a joke here and a quotation there, which really give my student good laughs. Sometimes they laugh because the joke was funny and related, and other times they laugh because I used a word or expression in a wrong or awkward way. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Lieceng. Lieceng shared with us the importance of using the power of letting our voice communicate passion and humor. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is one of our newest members, Mr. Carlton Dorsey. Carlton is working from his effective coaching level 2, learning your style, understanding leadership style. Carlton is a DTM and the chair of District 25 Speakers Bureau and president of Dorsey's Management Service. His title is Walk the Talk. Mr. Dorsey.
When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And it's very important to have the right tools in your toolkit. Madam Toastmaster, online presenter Toastmasters and guests, have you ever noticed that the greatest leaders use a variety of leadership styles to get results from those whom they're leading? Do they use just one style or a variety of styles? I was curious about that until I pursued pathways and followed that curriculum. By now, I have taken 8 leadership style self-assessments and pathways. and they've all rendered similar results. What I found in terms of my leadership style, my preferred style, that is that there's only a 2-point difference between my lowest score and my highest scores. There are 8 leadership styles and pathways. The styles that I receive the highest scores are in coaching, innovation, and authoritative. What does that mean? Essentially, it means that I have the capability to be versatile in using a variety of leadership styles, depending on the situation and the people. That is very important in leading others, because it is necessary to use the right style with the right people in the right situation. To illustrate my points, I'm going to talk about some of the roles I've performed in Toastmasters and share with you the leadership styles that I've used in these roles. First, as an area director, I used a variety of styles because I had 5 clubs that I worked with, and they had leadership and members who had a variety of different levels of competence and experience. With some, I had to coach. With others, I had to be authoritative. With still others, I had to be innovative in showing them ways to achieve the goals in the distinguished club program, the moments of truth. In each instance, I achieved success because I was able to use the right style in the right situation. As a club mentor, I primarily use a coaching style because the coaching style consists of a heavy emphasis on skill development. With a new club, I had to teach them how to conduct a meeting, how to do an effective evaluation, how to encourage club members to participate, how to hold a club contest. I'm very proud that one of the members in my area and that club that I mentored went on to place in the District 25 speech contest with only a couple of months of preparation. I felt good about that. As the chair of the District 25 Speakers Bureau, I primarily use a coaching style and an innovative style because on the one hand, I help the speakers improve their speaking skills by hosting speaker request labs in which they come in and we critique them and evaluate them and help them learn and grow, by bringing in speakers like the great Mark Brown and Prez Vasilev, world champions of public speaking, to talk with them, by communicating incessantly with them about ways that they can improve. Coaching. On the other hand, since participation was low when I took over this new role as the chair of the Speakers Bureau, I had to be innovative in inspiring them to reach for and grasp my vision of excellence. And I'm happy to report that now the District 25 Speakers Bureau stands for excellence. And I have a variety of people who want to become members. In fact, this club year, we have increased membership by 100%. I attribute that to the fine members in the district, as well as their willingness to accept my leadership style. It's fun. You can achieve success if you use the right leadership style when it is appropriate. Because if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And that might really be the speaking style that you need. Sometimes just a simple screwdriver will do. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Dorsey. Wow, what a wonderful speech. Leading by example, using the right styles for the right situation. Thank you so much. I'm going to call on our timer, Mr. David Carr. Could you let us know if our speakers were all qualified?
Yes, everybody was within time with time to spare.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you all to demonstrate your voice at this time as you vote for the Toastmaster speaker that was the best. David has included in the chat each speaker's name, and our vote counter for today is Miss Trisha Smith. So send your private chat to Trisha so that we can vote for our vote counter for our best speaker. While we're doing that, I'm going to introduce today our table topics master, Graham Crane. Graham.
Thank you. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Normally in a Toastmasters meeting, a table topic would run for between 1 and 2 minutes. But because there are in fact 12 members of this club who are not on the agenda, and I want each of them to have a chance to speak tonight, I'm going to make an executive decision and ask each of our table topic speakers to only speak for 1 minute. So can we have a red light at 1 minute, please, Mr. Timekeeper, and we'll then give them 15 seconds leeway for them to be eligible. That gives all 12 members who aren't on the agenda the chance to speak tonight. That lets you know that you're going to speak. And I'll start with, so every time I give a topic, 2 of you are going to answer this topic. Just be aware of that. And the first topic is, I want you to tell me of a time when you stayed silent, but you should have spoken. A time when you stayed silent, but should have spoken for a period of 1 minute. Psychosure, it's you.
Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and my dear guests. A time when I should have stayed silent. I stayed silent, but I should have spoken. I'm thinking around. It's usually the other way around. It's usually when I speak and then I realize that I should have stayed silent. Oh my God, why did I say those things? But now you're saying me, I stayed silent, thinking that there was no bad thing happening, but instead there was a bad thing happening. That is usually the case in my tenure was usually the case in my tenure as the class leader in my college. I thought things were going fine with people. I thought I was doing all things right. And then I realized one day that I did not take into consideration all the things that were going on with the students. I should have spoken, but I stayed silent. That was a mistake. And that is where we need to say our voice. That is my time. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Psychosure. The same question to you, please, Diane. A time when you stayed silent but should have spoken.
Well, I will use this time to tell you a time when I spoke up. I saw a woman being bothered by some man in the subway in New York City, and I don't know what possessed me, but I was waiting for someone to stand up for her. I was waiting, and no one did. And I just went over and started yelling at her, yelling at him to leave her alone, leave her alone, leave her alone. And he eventually left. And we just looked at each other, and she was grateful with her eyes. It was a moment that I don't think I've ever experienced again. All of my rage came out at this man for harassing this woman completely inappropriately. And it was a time like that I was really glad to have gained my voice through Toastmasters. I was able to help the situation and be resilient. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you for speaking out under those circumstances. Nick, I'm going to ask you the flip side of that question. I want you to tell us about a time when you spoke, but you should have stayed silent. Again, for 60 seconds, Nick Lacani.
Well, only the gazillion times I've sat next to my wife when she's been driving Come on. I mean, who knew that, you know, I wasn't as good a backseat driver as I am a front seat driver? Apparently she did. Now, all those times when she's actually driving, she's actually a good driver. Let's just, she's not listening. Okay, she's actually a good driver. But when I'm actually sitting next to her, I'm pressing the accelerator with my foot. I'm pressing the brake pedal with my foot. I'm even changing gears for her. Imaginary gears, of course. Why? I don't know. Is it the fact that I'm a control freak? Maybe. Is it the fact that we've been hard-coded into this sort of behavior? Maybe. That's it. Good. Blame the dad. Or is it society itself telling us that the man is really interested in the cars and women should be interested in the color of the cars? I don't know. But you figure it out and let me know, because I need help. Back to you, Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you, Nick. Perhaps you should have shut up just then, I might tell you, particularly since this is being recorded. Rick Derling, same question for you. Is there a time when you spoke but you should have stayed silent?
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to everybody on the call. Yes, there are times, and one particular one, where I should have kept my mouth shut, but I didn't. And in this particular instance, I was leading a team, and I had an individual come into my office, and they started just getting angry. And I had no clue what was going on. I just knew they were angry. And I tried to calm them down. I don't think I was successful. And what I learned over time from this particular experience is sometimes people just want to vent. They want to get it off their chest. They want the time to growl, say inappropriate things perhaps, and just get it off their chest. And this was one of those situations. It was a hard lesson for me to learn, but one that I will carry forward for the rest of my life. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Rick, for that. A forthright, a forthcoming incident from your past. Talking of things from your past, actually, no, I'll leave that question for a moment. Before I get to this one, The Voice, the television program, involves a whole lot of people sitting there facing away from the singer, and then they listen to the singer and they decide without seeing the singer whether they want to give them their applause and take them on. When have you heard a completely unexpected voice, something that you weren't expecting, either in terms of a voice or in terms of an opinion? And I'll ask this first of Mafazur. When have you heard an unexpected voice or opinion?
Mafazur had to leave, he mentioned in the chat.
There you go, I missed that. Well, George, you're next. So George, when have you heard an unexpected voice or opinion?
Thank you for that question. I have a Toastmaster example of when I heard that. We had a person, a loyal member. She'd been in the club for many years. She settled on the Sergeant at Arms position, and she was outstanding as a Sergeant of Arms. She was so outstanding as a Sergeant of Arms, she repeated the role 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And we all began to think of her as the club's Sergeant of Arms. She did such a good job of it. She did such a good job of it, and she never ventured an opinion about anything else. And then came election day 3 years ago. And she messaged the election nominating committee and said, I want to be president. That was unexpected. That was unexpected. None of us had it in our head that this person was going to do anything as a president. She was elected, she did great, and she is currently serving as division director and doing a wonderful job. Back to you, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, George. Those unexpected voices, we should take note of them because we don't know what secrets lurk in the hearts of Toastmasters, but the shadow knows. Birgit, a question for you. What is it that you can't stop talking about? What is it you can't stop talking about?
It's very interesting that I need to think about what I can't stop talking about, because I tend to have one topic, as most of you probably know, that I come back to over and over and over, and that just happens to be dancing. Now, you heard some of my speeches that include dance scenarios, but I started thinking about why I do that. And part of it is because of something that my dance instructor said, and I'm finding that to be extremely true. He said, everything that he's learned in life, he has learned through dance. And I started thinking about some of the things, especially right now, since we're doing things on Zoom, actually FaceTime. And I find that a lot of the times where I have stumbled in lessons are things that I need to learn in quote unquote real life outside of the dance world. So whether it is having the right overall big picture view, being able to drill that down to the right details, I seem to be doing that fairly well at work, but outside of work, forget it. So it's something that I'm learning through dance. And that's a topic I keep coming back to. So expect to hear more. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Birgit. We will look forward to hearing such. Now, Carl, same question to you. Is there something that you just can't stop talking about?
Well, that happens from time to time, doesn't it? And right now, of course, it's current events. But to put that aside, because I'm not going there tonight, it would have to be film, film and theater. It's my background. It's how I grew up. It was the world I lived in for much of my life. And like we just heard, the dance instructor who said, everything I've learned from dance. There is so much in the world that I have learned from film. And I've learned how to interpret film and what they're saying, and find that those hidden meanings, those subliminal meanings that many people might not pick up on are important. And I love to share that with people. And I do a almost weekly film review on Facebook to make sure that people don't miss out on great films that they might otherwise miss. And in COVID days, they're on cable. We can get them, they can see them. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Carl. I'll have to follow those up because film and theatre is, well, particularly film, something that I'm fascinated by. All right, we've been talking about the voice, but the theme for the meeting is, or the word of the meeting at least, is resilience. So we'll move to that now. And Marty, I want you to tell me a story of resilience from your family history. So a story of resilience from your family history for 1 minute, please, Marty. You're still muted, Marty.
I'm back. And as far as resilience is concerned, the greatest one I know of had to do with the family coming back to life when we lost a member. I very sadly remember the day that one of my brothers passed away. And it was a very, very difficult thing. Aside from the obvious reasons, he was, I believe, the best of the three of us. I was one of three brothers, and he was the one that I had counted on to really bring the world up. And when we lost him, the world came down. But I was very fortunate in that I talk too much. So all I can say is I came back.
Thank you.
Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you for that story of resilience. Christian, from your family, a brief story of resilience, if you would, please.
Oh, wow. Going down memory lane, Mr. Table Topics Master. I would say my mom is an excellent story about resilience, because I grew up with a single parent at the time when being divorced in an Asian community was frowned upon. And I think I would say my character, I got it from my mom, like never give up and just work, work, work. There's a downside to it, I'm guessing. But what she did, especially with me, because I was a lazy kid, I wouldn't be studying. And every time she'd come from work, she'd put time aside like 2-3 hours and just sit with me. And end of the day, I felt that I wasn't passing my exams. She was passing my exams. But then when she left, when she was no longer there, it's like, when the people who matter the most are no longer there, that you miss them the most. And now when I'm a parent as well, I realize what it means to be resilient. So yeah, my mom. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you very much. I had one last question, and that is the opposite of resilience is to resile, to abandon a position or a course of action. And I was going to ask, when did you know you were wrong? That was going to go to Andy and Sarah. I'll ask you to think upon that and think what your answer would have been, but we have run out of time. So I'll now hand control back to our Toastmaster for the evening. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. What an awesome table topics for today. I'm going to call on our timer, Toastmaster David Carr, to find out if everyone qualifies.
And the short answer is yes. My executive decision on top of Graham's executive decision was to do green at 45, yellow at 50, and then red at the top of the hour. People ran a few seconds over, but I think they're all within the buffer.
Thank you so much. Now, here's another opportunity for you to let your voice be heard. If you can put in the private chat the table topics speaker that you would like to vote as the best table topic speaker for the afternoon. Now we're going to turn the mic over to our general evaluator, Miss Elaine Nieberdink. Elaine.
Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and Toastmaster of the day, Elizan. What a wonderful evening so far. We are perfectly on time, and this portion of the evening is going to include reports from our 3 speech evaluators, 1-minute reports from our functionary role holders, and then a little bit of commentary on the evening by me. So at this point, I would like to call on our counter Jeanette Francois to give a report on filler words.
So sorry, Elaine, would it be a good idea to actually have the speech evaluators?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for
Thank you.
helping me bounce back to the proper order. I'd like to call on first my evaluator. Is it Marianne? Who is it? Let's see. It's Marianne. Evaluating Andriy, Smolenko, Marianne Grady. Marianne?
Good evening, Madam General Evaluator and fellow Toastmasters, and especially Andriy. Tonight, Andriy's speech, Reward the Effort, was the second in his evaluation and feedback project. I had the pleasure of evaluating his first speech, and my feedback related to enthusiasm, gestures, and eye contact. His job tonight was to incorporate that feedback, and I will have to say, mission accomplished. He was brimming with energy and enthusiasm, and I loved his very, very clear message, reward the effort. Tonight, I would not only like to reward your effort, Andriy, but I would also like to reward your results with a very positive evaluation. You used unusual props, so kind of got us wondering right away, and this was helpful in keeping our attention. You were super expressive and totally engaging, and that also, that high energy through your entire speech
really held our attention, and you had very well integrated hand gestures and body language. So lastly, you had eye contact that was spot on. It felt like you were talking right to me. So in the end, I have no real suggestions for improvement. This was one of the best speeches I've seen in such a long time, and I am so glad that you were so resilient in bouncing back and delivering this speech tonight. So congratulations on a job well done.
You're muted, Elaine.
It's good that I have monitors helping me to bounce back again and again. At this time, I'd like to call on Carol Perhinsky, Evaluator 2 for Lieceng Zoo.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. You give the rest of us hope and inspiration with the bouncing and the resilience that you offer to the rest of us. Lieceng, I loved your speech, and in particular, I appreciated your smile. You have one of the best smiles and you know how to use it. That is something that's so valuable. It's something I always give feedback to people to say they need to smile more. And for you, you smiled throughout your presentation. I don't need to say that to you. But what I do need to say on the smile is that sometimes we're not supposed to smile. And when you're talking about pain and the frustration and the sadness that you are feeling, that's a point where you should not be smiling. And this is where we want to match our facial expressions with the message that we're conveying to our audience. I hardly ever tell that to a person, and this is my little guidance to you on that 1 or 2 sentences, is to not smile. Another area of strength was your speaking pace, your reference to pop culture, such as the Bogarts, your title. Wonderful title with a nice twist. Instead of the elephant in the room, it's the elephant in the classroom. And then lastly, I loved the phrasing that you offered, such as a thin layer of ice. A couple areas to work on. One is your introduction that you're giving to the Toastmaster. Since you're talking about the classroom, I would like to hear your credentials. And I'm not talking necessarily about a PhD, but I do care, who are your students? What type of classroom? What are you teaching? Just something to help get us into the right frame of reference. A second area would be your conclusions. I'd love to listen to some of the lessons you learned about your communication style as it relates to this story. So what can we learn by living vicariously through you? And a third area to work on is I would like to have heard at least some reference to the communication style assessment, just to give us a feel of what your strengths were in it, or where your area of weakness is and how it related to this speech and this story. It was just something that I was curious about. So in general, you have so many strengths and so much power in your capabilities in communicating and resonating with your audience. So I encourage you to keep up that good work, and we will continue to cheer for you as you continue on your journey in Toastmasters.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Carol. Lastly, we have Surya Vangala, one of our newest members inducted today. And she is evaluating our third speaker.
Calvin.
Calvin. I apologize, Calvin, the other new member. How could I forget? Thank you also, Carol, for helping me bounce back to my memory labs. Take it away.
Good evening.
Surya.
Good evening, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Calvin. First of all, congratulations, fellow inductee. I'm excited, and I consider my privilege to provide an evaluation on your speech today, Calvin. As a fellow DTM, I recognize that you have considerable experience, and it shows. You excelled in your presentation, especially in a virtual Zoom environment, which we are all struggling to figure out how best to communicate with our audience. You definitely, your gestures were outstanding. You had exemplary eye contact, and you captured our attention right away by talking about a hammer in search of a nail. So that was very catchy. You're relatable, and you have a very conversational style. Now, as I'm listening to your stories and I understand your leadership style that you shared with the audience, what I'm left with is how. You spoke about 3 areas where you leveraged your leadership style. You leveraged it as in developing the Speakers Bureau, in developing people to run a contest, and also as an area director. But never through those chain of three different situations did I understand the question of how you inspired your folks. For example, I would like to have heard a little bit more context and details on how you convinced Mark Brown to be part of your Speakers Bureau. What did you tell him? How did you convince Priscilla to come and join your Speakers Bureau? How did you increase your membership by 100%? I believe I'm not alone in wanting and being curious about hearing those stories, because that's what we would like to take away as your audience, to learn, and to our new clubs or other clubs in order to understand how to do it. So what my suggestion to you would be, sometimes less is more. Instead of spending a little bit more effort in relating other parts of your speech, perhaps you could insert 2 or 3 stories to demonstrate the how. And I would also encourage you, maybe it's the Zoom environment, we did not hear much of your vocal variety. So between that vocal variety and increasing audience engagement, I think you would be at the next level. So thank you for sharing your stories. Congratulations, Calvin.
Could I have a report from the timer about the evaluators' times and eligibility for voting?
All evaluators were within time, and all evaluators used their time well.
And with that, I invite all of our members and guests to send along a private vote in the chat to vote monitor Tricia Smith for either number 1, Marianne, number 2, Carol Prahinsky, or number 3, Surya Vangala. And now at this point, I will be calling on our functionary role holders to give their 1-minute reports. It's an excellent opportunity, once again, to be concise and pick out the most important things to say. I'll counter Jeanette Francois. Take it away.
Yes, thank you, Madam General Evaluator. We had a wonderful evening. It shows really that we're an advanced club, and there were practically no mistakes, but as a vote counter, you know, I have to find something. So I did find a few mistakes. So it's not really mistakes, but I had to pick probably one problem for a few people. So sorry for picking some of you, but that's what I heard. For Andriy Smolenko, at the beginning, he did 1 N too much, and it's only 1 N too much, and at the end, everything went very well. For Elizan, there was a long pause at a certain point, but everything was okay afterwards. Marianne had 1 R, and Surya had 2 R's. So it's just a little bit of nick and pick, but it's no problem. Everybody did very well. So we had a wonderful evening, and thank you very much for not making too many mistakes. Back to you, Mrs. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jeanette. Now I'd like a report from Emily Thompson, our grammarian of the evening.
Hello, as grammarian of the day, the word of the day was used 8 times by 8 different people, and Graham won the contest for saying it the most times. I think he said it 2,389 times. We had some very unusual words that I would not normally associate with Toastmasters meeting. Perhaps you noticed them. Trampoline was not one I was expecting to hear tonight, nor was I expecting to hear Bogart. As a couple of themes that were said a few times, Elizan saying thank you so much was really heartwarming. We heard if everything the only thing you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And if you make them laugh, you can make them listen. We had a wonderful night tonight, and I have private chatted with our speakers, offering perhaps a comment. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Emily Thompson. Next on up is watcher Vivian Bijaja.
Thank you, Elaine. So okay, from my comments today, so people show support by raising their hand instead of clapping. And some speakers demonstrate that the limited space is not their limitation because they can move around a little bit. And also I want three Toastmasters that have amazing background. So the third winner is Lieceng, because I like the black background that make you stood out. And the second is the Louis Brown because of your professional background with the Toastmaster logo. And the number 1 is Toastmaster of the Day, who show different background more than once. Back to you, Elaine.
Thank you very much. We'll move right along to comments from Witty Man Jim Barber, giving us a report as our chat monitor.
With pleasure, Madam General Evaluator. We had lots of communications in the chat tonight. Word of the day, reminder, congratulating speakers, reminding everyone of what the times were and that sort of thing. It's exactly what the chat is supposed to do. However, there was only one thing that people will want to take away from the meeting. Earlier in the meeting, Andy Byrne provided a link to Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. That was one of the greater speeches of the last 100 years, and it's something people that are interested in speaking might want to go back and listen to that. A reminder to everybody that you can save the chat simply by clicking on the chat room, going down to where it says Save Chat, and save it. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Chatty Jim Barber. At this point, I think I've actually gotten all the reports, which means I would like to ask our vote counter for the votes if she has them tallied. Do you have them tallied, Tricia?
I do. Thank you, Graham. That was a challenging vote tally. I have never seen 9 table topic presenters and awesome topics. So that was fantastic. So this is pretty exciting. And there's another thing I've never seen in the last year either, I don't think. So best speaker, drum roll, and I'll put it in the chat after I announce it. Congratulations to Andriy for best speaker. And best evaluator, congrats to Carol. And best table topics, now we had 9 to vote on. So there's a tie. The tie goes to, kudos to Diane, and kudos to Birgit. Good job, everybody. Thank you, back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Tricia. This evening has been a wonderful place to bounce into. We started the evening with 35 people in attendance. I can't remember an evening where we had actually so many people using their voices throughout the course of the evening. So a special thank you goes out to Graham Carnes for that great idea of the quick table topics so we could call on so many people. I'd also like to acknowledge that it was a great idea for our Vice President of Membership, Lou Brown, to move on up to the beginning of the meeting, the induction of our 2 new members, and how wonderful that 2 new advanced members on their first evening or first time of being here with us in the club as a member would take very active roles. So congratulations, Surya, as an evaluator, and Calvin as a speaker. We appreciated your contributions so very much. And then the theme of resiliency just kept on coming on up. And this is what we do. We bounce into this club to, just as Elizan said at the beginning of the meeting, we come, or was it Nick, to be uplifted, to bounce back if we've been down. And how wonderful it was for Andriy to actually be bouncing with his trampoline and talking about the bounce back in his story with his son, and also especially with Lieceng. What a wonderful, heartfelt story on this day of Martin Luther King's holiday, for us to be feeling into this topic of being honest about misperceptions, biases, and daring to take that first step to open up communications and once again have people feel closer and laugh more and even have a tear come to the eye. I appreciate this club every time I'm here. That's it. I really can't mention any improvements. I'd like to now pass it over to our Toastmaster of the day for a last word before she calls back our president, Nick. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eileen. I want to say thank you to her so much because she stepped in at the 99th hour. Talk about resilience. She stepped in and agreed to be our general evaluator for tonight. I'd just like to share a little video. It's just 19 seconds with you.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
And I want to thank each and every one of you for using your voices when necessary and being resilient to the cause. I turn the meeting over to our president, Mr. Nick Nakanti.
Thank you very much, Elizan. Well done, Elizan. And all the role players today, we have some announcements from the education team. We have a speechathon on Saturday, 30th of January. We have a speechathon on the 15th of February. We have a panel discussion on the 22nd of February. We have a Saturday workshop on the 27th. Oh my God, we have on the 27th, the workshop is with Fersi Gotukau, who actually starred in the VTM conference that we were part of in December. The next item from the education team, at the start of every month, a 15-minute breakout moment at 7 p.m. EST with the education team to have your education-related questions answered. No, not any other questions, just education. At the end of March in 2021, the video speech contest will take place, and I suggest not only should you go and practice your speeches, but also if you want to be practicing as a contest chair or chief judge, please let Christian know, VPE Christian. And also, Christian will be emailing, there will be a list of Toastmasters available that have taken up the roles, or Christian may contact you and volunteer you to actually go and take on a role. And one of the key things is that we want you to take part. Today we had a large number of people taking part, but a few hours ago we had 4 or 5 vacancies, which is unheard of in our club. Sign up early, sign up soon, sign up as much as you can. It gives me great pleasure to actually say, what a great meeting. I wasn't wrong. We had so many people speaking today. We had so many guests. I'm going to talk to one or two of the guests as soon as we finish the actual recording. It's 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's finish the recording and let's talk to a couple of guests. So let's see who is our guest. Lauren,